these TG events are KYC or not KYC oriented, right? These are all going to be very large factors on whether or not the token is going to be successful. And the crazy thing is, this market doesn't even ask a lot of these questions. Like, it's actually kind of blind. It's actually kind of amazing, but it also explains why we're such bad investors as a collective class because we don't ask any of these questions, right? Almost all of you are super excited about one of these TGEs for an asset you're holding, but very rarely do you actually understand, are there breakdowns on their listing partner? What is their actual depth of tokenomics? What is their actual legal compliance? Whether or not KYC is included? Where is their primary jurisdiction of where the token is being issued from? Right? All of this stuff, right, is almost massively missing from the conversation, and it just shows you it's because we're not really looking for the details. We're looking for hope, right? And this is the counterplay. As this market is aiming for hope, you should aim to do more diligence and insights on where those opportunities can exist, right? And I think that's where there's a much better opportunity here if you actually want to be intelligent with your allocation of time and capital. So this is where you want to start thinking about how do you form your thesis, right? And again, everyone should form their own thesis, but in order to help with this, I'm going to show you the thesis that I currently see around this meta, right? And again, take this as, with a grain of salt. This is not financial advice. This is just literally a perspective that I'm seeing right now in the market, right? I believe the TGE craze is already overpopulated. I don't even know what the right word is, right? It's like it's just being thrown around way too much. It's getting quite saturated. Yeah, overhyped. And I think the reason for this right now is that everyone is willing to claim it. Very few are willing to back it up. That becomes one problem. The other problem is it's super smart to just say the word token if you're launching anything, right? But the truth is that no one really understands where it played in their roadmap, right? How important are tokens actually to that ecosystem more than a liquidity event? So this becomes this other larger question. But the other big problem is that there's one defining key metric that I'm still quite worried about. It's the fact that there is no new wallets coming in. This is straight up just a quote unquote rally amongst those who've been active for the last 6 to 12 months, which is still fascinating. Don't get me wrong. There's something really cool about seeing the amount of attention and capital of just the users that are here. But the truth is, there isn't anyone for us to quote unquote dump on, right? There's no new retail money coming in, there's no rotation of value. So, what essentially this is we're playing this really large game of musical chairs with the belief that trickle down economics will work, right? This is the problem. It almost never works like that. It almost never sustains like that. And this becomes kind of the largest challenge here is that trickle down economics is a farce in reality of true economic design, right? It doesn't work, right? Reagan was trying to tell us in his Reaganomics framework in the Western market that trickle down theory could work. It doesn't. It never works, right? It only works until it doesn't, right? Which usually means like you get 6, 12 months out of it in an economic landscape. And then very similarly, right? We all know like there's a reason why everything looks like a reverse funnel here or a MLM scheme or a Ponzi scheme, right? There's a reason why we are literally, when you look at how the economic theory of value is accrued, it is accrual to a very few at the top, then with layers of accruals below. What does that sound like? Maybe a pyramid of sorts, right? And this is the real challenge is that when we understand the fundamentals here, we actually recognize really quickly, like, holy crap, this market is garbage, right? It really is straight up garbage in a lot of ways. And this is the other thing that's also really interesting is because in this garbage framework, the other thing we understand is narrative matters. Narrative matters probably more than anything else. This is also the other interesting concept that massively changes the way that Web3 products are built. It's that the biggest product is hope. The biggest product value you could offer to users is speculation. It's narrative, right? Which is really interesting, right? When we're thinking about this, right? Like, this is no shade to meme land. Like, I love how Ray has executed. Ray is literally showcasing to you, you do not need to deliver a product and you could still have a 2 billion FDV. Brilliant. This guy's running the best economic business I've ever fucking seen, right? Do I believe it's long term sustainable? Probably not, right? Like and that's going to be the largest challenge. Is what is Ray trying to do? He's utilizing this liquidity event to buy time to now build product to then sustain the utility of the token that's already been issued, right? Which is such a weird way of product design to work, right? Like you wouldn't create currency and then create utility of that currency afterwards, right? Usually the logical framework is, create utility and then when you see a gap, add currency to increase the value of that utility or the liquidity or the exchange of value there. But we're kind of all flipping it up, right? Like flipping it backwards, right? Because what are we doing is we're trying to put the largest gains earliest into the product experience, right? And in almost all cases, I don't think that's going to sustain. There's a reason why every token chart looks really rough. But here's the thing, we're not looking for it to sustain. What are we all looking for? We're looking for that one time pop and being able to get out as fast as we can. That's what majority of this market is doing, right? So realize if the entire market's thinking the same, right? And again, I'm not the only one thinking this. Almost everyone on Twitter is saying is like, I can't wait for the grapes event. And they're not saying I can't wait for the grapes event because this token's going to give me a lot of utility and the grapes ecosystem is going to be great. No one's saying that. Not a single person saying that. What is everyone actually saying, right? Is hey, grapes is going to be awesome because we're going to steal that liquidity and bring it to our projects. Yay! That's actually the real excitement about grapes TGE at this fucking point, right? It's like how can we keep rotating, right? All of this liquidity and keep this game going. But it is a game, right? And I think that's a very important thing you want to understand. And because it's a game, you need to understand your entry and exit. So I give you this because this then applies to my framework. I worry that TGEs are on rocky ground where there's not a lot of real long term sustainability. It does feel like we're in a house of cards moment, but there's very clear opportunity to tap into that when you see the house of cards being constructed and being able to get in, right? What is overworld in a lot of ways? It's a very clear understanding of I know how high this house of cards can go, but I also know when I need to get out. That's how you almost need to be thinking about any of these token based events. Some are going to be worthy to hold all the way through TGE, right? But I think that's very few, right? I think the only ones that you're really seeing, in my opinion, that you'd want to hold post TGE events are ones that are going to be massive outliers, right? So Memeland is one. Memeland has absolutely showed that. The other one that could be interesting thus far in the metrics is Overworld potentially. But Overworld runs into a different challenge. And here's the real challenge. Overworld has promised product. Memeland has not. Memeland's in a way better position. Memeland could literally come out next month and just put like a sticky note on their Twitter and being like, we went sailing, be back in 30 days. And people would be like, ha, 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 that's cool. They're taking a break, I guess. Ha ha ha. And you'll laugh it off. You're like, you'll meme this shit somehow. And then Overworld says that, and you guys are gonna be like, where the fuck's our game? We want the game. Give me the AAA game. And of course, we as DGens are all stupid as fuck and don't understand that building a AAA game is still gonna take 18 more months, right? Like no one really understands this, but like, oh, give me my AAA game right now. I want you with your 15-man studio and only $10 million to have already delivered me a AAA game yesterday, right? And that's going to be Overworld's hardest challenge is because there's a promise of that game, can you keep users aligned on this? And we saw this, right? We saw this big challenge as well, right? And when we saw how the market was dealing with it, it's that this market has super unfair expectations of games. But what is really valuable here is that it's owning narrative. And this is the bet we have right now. Right now, I am operating on our partnership and collabs that the TGE window only lasts until end of January. Right now, my belief is after the end of January, most of this stuff will be exhausted and you're going to see a flood of bad TGE events that essentially crush the market. So I believe there's right now only a 30 to 45-day window that I'm optimizing for. That can change. That could change literally tomorrow. Literally tomorrow, if the government comes out and says tokens are legal everywhere, great. We have our next bull run, right? For like the next 6 months. Then we all ape for everything, right? It could change very quickly if one of these projects, has a compliance issue, right? Essentially here as well. But in the end, right, what you're recognizing is this market still is just playing the trader game. Like even one says, I really need a Web3 pixel MMORPG. No, you don't. No one fucking needs it. You don't need any more games, right? Like to be very honest, you don't need any more fucking games. You can all claim you want it, but what's the fucking point? Right? If you're actually looking at the hours that you are currently as a user playing a powerful game, right? It's gonna be sorry, if you're a power user already in this game, you're already playing one game, which is trading. You're not gonna like pretend to start playing games because no way playing games is gonna make you more profit than playing being a trader. That's the challenge. You're all profit driven, right? And that's kind of the other important thing. So you're going to see how this market kind of extends and expands here as well. Lemon Boy is right. If it's a 45-day window, then that would put it close to the blast unlock and therefore possible to extend further. Absolutely. This is the other thing that you want to see is that there could be dynamic variables. From what we understand is although the blast unlock may happen, their airdrop is still much further down along the way. I'm not sure if blast unlocks is going to be the liquidity event that we all expect, right? I think it's more the blast token which will be a little bit further down the line, but absolutely needs to be on your calendar on how you're betting on it, right? BTC halving needs to be on your calendar for that. And this is what we're going to work on over the next couple of weeks. We're going to actually, break down all the TGE confirmed dates, right? Because, like I'm saying, right, is like, I really only know 3 projects who said the word December or January for their TGE event. I want to know more. Do you guys know any other token products, token game projects that we know that is actually confirmed that they're going to do a TGE in January? That's what I'm actually really interested. Nope, Prana's not stated in January. Nope, Prana's just Q1, right? Why are we talking about Frame? We could talk about Frame. It's just another token claim. A vampire attack on a token on an L2 is not bad. Go claim your Frame if you want, but Frame's not going to be long term interesting. Is the Galaxis really doing a token in January? That would be hilarious if that's the case. On this front, Weebox has no date at the moment right now. Vendetta said January, but I think that's going to be pushed to. I think one of the other comms that we got from their team is most likely mid to late Q1 as well. So we'll keep an eye out on them there as well. I think really what you're recognizing is that they're all teasing it because none of them are confirming it, and that's what you want to figure out. Like this would be my number one thing I'm doing is I'd be going to all those fucking communities and being like, "Are you guys gonna launch this in January or not? Are you gonna launch this in January or not?" That's all I want to know right now. Because in my opinion, right, it's like you shouldn't even have more than the 30 to 45-day lens of the market at this point, right? This is kind of where the challenge is going to be. So you want to stay really close to understanding what's going to play really well. And again, when I'm saying tokens right now, I'm really only talking about, Ethereum and maybe a few L2 tokens here as well, right? I think there's some really interesting stuff happening on the ordinals front, but it's a whole different game and a whole different type of token play. And there's other stuff happening on Solana, which is also pretty interesting. but we're rather talking about the GameFi side of the equation for now, or the NFT-fi side of the equation right now on the ETH front. So there's a lot of people coming. That's the interesting thing, right? We have Prana, right? There's, we know AOF Verse wants to do a token. We know Vendetta wants to do a token. We know Farcana wants to do a token, right? We know a few others want to do it as well. I mean, here's also the little alpha I can give you, right? We are talking to everyone, and all I can say is companies that you never thought would do a token are willing to consider a token now. Literally everyone, right? That is like historically you never thought they would ever do a token is now considering a token, right? Which is really interesting, right? Everyone is trying to now figure out a way at ads. Not all of them, of course, are going to accelerate it overnight. And a lot of them are USC Corp, so they have a lot of challenges on figuring out exactly how this is going to play. What a lot of these guys are trying to do is they're seeing how Overworld and Shrapnel are going to play out, right? Those two have very large influence on the Western market design. So I'd be really spending some time understanding what they're doing there. But right now, when you're actually looking at it, the amount of confirmed in January is low. And you know what? That's a fucking good thing because it means that this market is not going to get oversaturated too quickly. That's the thing that we want to be very conscious about, right? Because again, as soon as one of these tokens go and it doesn't succeed, right? You know the amount of FUD that's going to come on the timeline, the amount of like doom of like God, all tokens are going to fail, right? It is absolutely going to be really really struggle, right? And Bruno's right. You know the local top is almost here when random teams are considering doing a token, 100%. Right? When other old rug projects or like dead projects from the last wave are like, we got a token coming. You know you should fucking run, right? You really should, right? But really, what it is that it's not that you should fucking run. It's that you need to figure out which are the ones that you want to enter and exit faster, right? Which I think is a lot more interesting, right? Like that's really what I'd be looking at for everything. Like even when I'm looking at Overworld, right? I think Overworld's playing the meta perfectly. They know what they're doing. They've gotten through their rough spot of fucking up the allocation, and now the market's still blessing them. And sitting at 2.7 ETH, very thin to 3 ETH, very thin to 4 ETH. To be very honest, like it's surprisingly amazing how low the listings are there. Like if he actually curated this legitimately correctly, and it was vesting, this would already be at 4 ETH. Like it would actually already be at 4 ETH, which is kind of nuts, right? This thing has still a lot of room. It just got cut down due to some of the allocation stuff. But the real thing that you should be thinking about of Overworld is, do I hold through TGE or not? For many, Overworld might be the only one worth holding to TGE because they're doing it so fast, right? They're going from mint to TGE in less than 45 days, right? Which is a kind of insane thing to think about, right? So that's kind of why I think a lot of people are pushing that in that narrative, right? The biggest challenge that you've seen is what we saw with grapes, right? When it came to grapes, what was the really tough thing that ran into it is that they really mishandled this actual last, red zone offense, right? If you're American football fans, right? It was this last run. They're already near. They're like the everything is clear to score a touchdown, but they just make some really weird calls, right? The timing wasn't great on regard to the handoff of NFT to token claim. The narrative wasn't right. So the fact that prior to your TGE, your assets already nosedived over 50%, awful, right? Like that's like just a really, really rough scenario there. And now, right, they've moved this over to Binance Smart Chain for the claim, which is weird because this has always been an Ethereum based project thus far, but the tokens are now over there. But what we also learn is degens kind of don't care. Degens will do everything right on this front, and that's kind of the unique thing. But maybe the Binance means they're getting listing on Binance, right? Like, I mean, getting on BSC, right? Like, is that Binance listing? We're not sure. It hasn't come yet officially here, right? I think what we're much more interested in, right, is understanding whether or not they announce it more aggressively today or tomorrow. It's kind of weird it's not because yeah, it they all I've seen right now is KuCoin and Bybit. So it's kind of strange, right? I'm not sure what's happening there, but it just shows you Grapes is just not on their game for this meta play, to be very honest. They're not, they're just struggling here at this finish line. It doesn't mean like the TGE is still going to be successful, but I think the idea of a 20x is less likely on Grapes, right? It's probably something that is going more towards like, a 10x instead, right? A 5 to 10x is kind of what is probably more reasonable because again, the allure of Grapes post this TG event is not as lustrous as what I think Overworld may be, right? Or what I think a lot of other traders may want in other projects here as well too. So again, if I'm looking at my portfolio, Overworld's the one that is the most compelling to hold until TGE. But again, where there's still a few different questions that we need to get answered, right? Like, what is the vesting? How is the relationship between the NFT versus the non NFT assets? How is he allocating the other remaining tokens? How does the pre-sale work? There's all these other questions that are out there here, right? That could be really meaningful, but we don't have answers yet. So we have to keep a very, very close eye on this front here as well. So we'll see whether or not, these guys can keep this meta going. And this is now the challenge is who else could fit in January, right? So this is what I'm looking for. And this is what I'm going to spend the next week on, right? Is try to find everyone and try to get an order of timeline of TGE events. That's probably one of the most important things that matter to me, right? And right now it's literally like I have Wallet Wars and that's it. There's no other third one that I actually have on the list yet. I'm sure there's better details out there, and I want to go find that out here at the moment right now, right? That could be really, really compelling. I want to get a list of 5 of these guys, and that's what we should do. Top 5 next TGEs, and we should literally be following them through their scoring, right? We have Grapes here now. We'll have Overworld. We'll have Wallet Wars. Maybe there's a couple more here as well. It's going to be really, really tough. Yeah, Bruto says if NFT pre-salers got to eat window vesting, I can only imagine what the real investors get to eat when token drops. I think that's usually would be a correct statement, Bruto, but I think differently here is that no one's really done NFT vesting before. So I think the problem was is that I mean, you just see that, it was a new process that they clearly fumbled, right? But what's really easy is that tokens definitely vest, right? Like 100% they're vesting, right? But the question we need to be asking is when did their vest time start? Right? This is the other thing we learned about Shrapnel, right? If you're looking at the Shrapnel token, what was really interesting is the vesting, right, for Shrapnel was already started before the TGE had actually clicked. So there's so many investors that are actually unlocking their tokens like only 2 or 3 months after the TGE. That's shitty. I don't want that, right? So this is again another thing. Like, do you guys realize we're aping hundreds of thousands of dollars into these things, and we still don't even know the cap table? We still don't even know, right? All these structures, right? Which is kind of nuts, right? And we're just like, no, we believe these people will get it right on our behalf, and some of them will, but most of them won't, right? Literally, most of them won't, right? Which I think is the other important thing here, right? It's going to be a really, really tough scenario, right? And I think this is going to be the other challenge that we run into this market, right? Is that overall, this market is always built to collapse, right? This is the saddest thing about Web3 because we are built on an extraction model. The model means that we are always building for this cycle to have ups and downs and very volatile ups and downs, right? And this is the challenge is that we are not in a sustainable Web3 phase by any means. Nothing is sustainable. Like, it's actually hilarious on the NFT and GameFi side. I don't think I have any single item I say is a long-term hold right now outside of maybe one gaming token, And even that I'm not fully convinced on, which is crazy, right? Like after all these stuff, like I'm saying stuff that I'd hold for 12 plus months, there's fucking nothing I put like in my bag for 12 months across NFTs or tokens right now, right? Which is such a sad thing, right? I'm not sure that's the case for all of you. Some of you may have long term bets you'd want, but no one's even thinking 12-month windows. You guys are thinking like 12 months, 12 days is too long, 12 hours is too long. What are we going to do, right? And I think this is the other challenge, right? Is that what are you going to play? Some of you are asking which gaming token. There's actually only one token, gaming token, I actually like. And the hilarious thing is I still think the token's overvalued, but I think it's gonna continue to run because their narrative is too good. Grumpy's got it right. It's straight up Prime. Prime's the only thing I'd be touching at the moment right now. Prime is built because they're not running speculation into the token. It's already trading at it's ranging between like $7 to $10 at the moment right now. It's up quite a bit. So I'm not saying that you should be entering in it right now. You might want to go evaluate that here. But Prime is built, oh my god, they just released the Parallel Colony teaser. It's buried. Very few people know about it. It is so good. Like it's not I'm not even I don't even care about the TCG stuff that Parallel is doing. Like and it's good. Their TCG stuff is amazing, right? But like also at the same time, the game changer shit 100% is going to happen on Parallel Colony. That game is going to be 20x bigger than their TCG game in my opinion. I just like how Parallel's running and then Parallel has a perfect story, good builders, been here from wave one, continued going, have multiple game assets, backed by Paradigm, have a bunch of capital, continue to be active in gaming. Very fucking few people I'd bet on longer that than a year, right? There's a lot of other fringe people that would fall into this as well. But the truth is like outside of that, it's tough. And even I say this, I love Prime and I'm still like struggling to really hard commit to you on a 12-month play here, right? But the reason why, and there's just my insight on why I think Prime runs, is that Prime is where the biggest value creation can occur for the entity at Parallel. Like Parallel doesn't want to launch more NFTs. That's not going to be interesting. And to be honest, they already have too many NFTs out. Why would they ever accrue more value on the NFTs when they're not really making money from that? What are they going to make money on? It's absolutely the token. So when I think Parallel Colony comes out, their economics should be really built around creating greater utility around the token. To be very honest, Parallel Colony should be minted in just Prime if they're smart. That's what they should be doing. Like this should be so crazy. If they do that, oh my god, it could run, right? So for me, I am betting on Prime over any other NFT in the Parallel ecosystem. Don't get me wrong, there's probably other shit in the Parallel ecosystem that could do well. But for me, I like it as a long-term hold, right? This shit, like, but right now, like, it was funny. I was talking about this with actually Gabe Layden at Limit Break, and he was actually right. He was like, we were talking about this. We're like, is there any token we could bet on? And he's like, if you had to make, and Gabe is an investor in Parallel, but he's also very hard on Paradigm and stuff like that as well too. But he straight up just tells me like he's like, I would only buy Prime because I believe they'll have the narrative. I don't believe they're even worth what they are today, but I believe that this market is dumb enough to make it run to $100. Right? That was like his thesis. I was just like, you know what? That's actually like a pretty competent thesis, right? To a certain extent. And I think that's actually like very unique here as an element. Again, I'm not recommending you to buy Prime. Go look at how they're building Prime. Honestly, you know what? You go look at Parallel Colony. Look at this Parallel Colony video. Oh my god. I gotta hold on. Let me see if I can. Where the fuck is it? Colony trailer? It's like a 10-minute. Yeah. Oh my god. Like very few people know about this. No, I don't want to watch this shitty ad. Hold on. Like very few people. Like if you want to spend 10 minutes of your life watching one of the dopest product experiences that I think AI in gaming AI and Web3 gaming is the 100x of this market. I'm convinced of that. I'm there's like I want to work with as many AI projects long term, and holy fuck, Parallel Colonies got this right. If you listen to this 10-minute video, it's actually game testers sharing their thoughts on it as well. It is remarkable the language they're using, right? But also it's just remarkable of the outcomes. Like, so the way Parallel Colony works is that it's this almost like a simulation game like The Sims, and you effectively get to you give them directions and inputs on how they should operate within this colony. And there's these multiple colonies, and these colonies can fight versus each other, but they could do really crazy stuff. They could start creating their own black market, right? Like you could tell your avatar, like, let's go corner the market on batteries here and start charging 100x for batteries. He's like, okay, I'll do it. And he goes, tries to do it. He starts navigating. And then, you could let him run and then you could come back 6 hours and you could see everything he's doing. He'd be like, I tried to negotiate. I traded 20 pencils for 2 batteries here. I now got this market corner. It's like super fascinating how advanced the AI is, right? It's so cool. Just check out what that 10-minute video. If you're any bit interested in AI and gaming, like that is the opportunity where Web3 can go. Because here's the other beauty. All those little sim characters that you have their own on-chain wallet. They can actually do all full on-chain transactions. These characters are crafting their own shit. Like it's amazing. Like they're literally like these characters have the ability to go grab items. You could put them into an ERC wallet, and then they get currency within the game, and they could craft stuff. And then when you come back, you're like, hey, you have 4 items in your Sims wallet. He crafted a helmet. He crafted a sword, right? Crafted a gun, whatever it may be. It's nuts, right? Literally nuts what they're doing. So that's the only game token. I may even have a little bit of conviction post 12 months. But this goes back to the larger problem, right? No one cares about anything post 12 months, right? No one, right? Everything in this market is still very much a 1 to 2 week window. So, this is the problem, right? We're not in a stage in this market for long term sustainability. So, as a trader, you're not chasing that, right? You don't have to, right? Like, we'll chase that for you, right? But what are we really recognizing here is the biggest challenge long term is going to come down to the fact that if this market is still just chasing these short-term runs, we know it's going to collapse, right? You have to anticipate a collapse. You don't want to get caught, flat-footed here. If you do, ooh you're going to get wrecked. And that's the other important thing here as well, too, right? Is that you want to figure out where this market could go, where the opportunity could go, where this can scale. And when we look at it here right now and looking at the token opportunities, right, we want to assume a short window, right? You could choose what that window is. Maybe you believe it's only 30 days. Maybe you believe it's 60 days. Maybe you believe it's 90 days, right? Build your conviction thesis and then put those catalysts on point, right? Catalysts like when does Blast unlock, right? When are the next token catalysts that are coming? Where are these going to scale, right? Another good example is you're going to see all these farm tokens like Portal, and now you have Frame out there. I actually like Frame. I like Cygar a lot. We've worked with Cygar before. But at the same time, when you're vampire attacking with a token too early, right? The biggest challenge again just becomes, is it going to be sustainable? Right? Is it going to be actually the right time to enter it in? For Frame, I'm not sure. I actually don't think this is the way that they should be allocating tokens. A vampire attack on the entire trader market is never ideal for your first launch, to be very honest. Right? You should always be doing a vampire attack of very specific customer personas. That's actually like one of the most important things here. Because if you don't, right? You're just gonna be like dealing with that onslaught of dumps, right? None of you were following Frame before this thing came out. Like, and we even talked about Frame. I've retweeted it multiple times when Cygar first announced it a few months ago, right? But none of you care until they told you there's a free token you could claim with just a couple of clicks, right? Shout out to Kreta. He's saying I was. He was doing test net. Congrats. You're ahead of most people here. You're in the 0.01% of people who cared about frame before token airdrop. But that's the challenge, right? Is that if all you're actually caring about is the token airdrop, it's probably gonna run. It's probably gonna struggle to run, right? Long term. And this is like that channel, right? That issue here that you also have to figure out is any of these tokens really worth long-term holds? Probably not. But if all you have to do is click 2 or 3 times to get an airdrop of tokens, yeah, fucking go get it. No one's telling you not to go get that. Go get that shit. Just you don't have to over shill me that, oh, you think it's gonna be great just because you got a bag. Like, get the fuck out of here. Give me some real understanding of your utility and your value here as well. And this is the other challenge you want to understand is that we still haven't even heard from some of the bigger guys on where their tokens are coming. And there's a lot of guys with capital from the previous run. I don't know if anyone can give an update. Where's Pixel Vault's token? When's Pixelmon's token? When's um AOF versus token? When is even Portal Coin token? When is My Pet Hooligans token? Um Frame was backed by one VC. It's Electric Capital. I actually like Electric Capital, but they didn't raise a massive round, right? Frame is not going to be like Blur by any means. Frame is a very different play. Frame's largest challenge is that they have to create liquidity on their chain, right? Blur did not have to worry about creating liquidity on their own chain. Very two different opportunities here as well, right? So what you're realizing here is that just generally, almost all these projects don't have a real reason for a token as well, right? The only reason they have a token, to be very honest, was this capital play, right? It was a capital play for you guys to be able to tap in, right? Like they're going to be a bigger challenge here as well long term. So again, you want to spend time and realize that fuck, there's still like 5 other guys coming, right? 5 more guys, that 6 more guys, 10 more guys, right? That is going to be coming through this process and literally going to have a ton of attention as they try to run their tokens. And to be honest, they're not going to sustain. Ooh, our boy Freeman giving us the PV insight. PV's title battle plan is going to launch with GG in the next 30 days. Oh, we might get a January thing. G-Funk was transparent that they're trying to launch Reboot with the game, plus an exciting new partnership launching on Reboot alongside. My guess is Forgotten Rune's new Goblin Town game as a partnership. Post ApeCoin DAO rejecting them. Still can launch before end of year. It's a 50-50. Very good to hear. Freeman's giving us some alpha here. There's token. So Freeman, would that mean that the GG token actually does a token liquidity event? Like what does that look like for them? Is there a TGE with that? Or is it you only earn tokens by playing battle plan? Like is that the only spout? I'm just curious on that front. We'll see what Freeman says in just a moment. So again, you're seeing like a lot of these guys gonna rush. It's gonna be tough. It's going to get really rough in this market, right? You're going to see tons of people trying to push out a token, justifying $500 million fully diluted market caps or higher. Fuck, we don't got enough room for this market, right? It's just not going to work, right? So this is what you want to be aware of. But it means that they're all still going to be profit here and there. The challenge that you want to figure out then is how much is it going to get locked up now? How much do I have to wait on a monthly or quarterly vesting schedule, right? And then what is those upside and downside of risks, right? What is one of the smartest things you could have done, right? You should have used 100 wallets to enter in Grapes raffle for 0.05 ETH as long as you were fine with utilizing Binance Smart Chain. Because this last pre-sale they just offered was 100% unlock at TGE, right? Which is nuts, right? Don't get me wrong, it's not generational wealth you're getting on that 0.05 E, right? You'd maybe turn that into like 0.3 E, 0.5 E, but it's still good, right? Run that shit, right? Like absolutely run that shit, right? Which I think is actually really interesting, right? But the stuff that you want to be careful about is like, oh, I got token access 5% at TGE. Fuck, that sucks. 5% only liquidity on the highest time that, the highest moment the asset has value. It sucks. 95% being stuck sucks, right? But this is the challenge again. You need to understand how the unlocks are working. So Freeman, in regard to Pixel Vault, says GG starts with rewarding holders first. Owners of planets, POW tokens, punks tokens can convert to GG at launch. Yep. Reboot gives folks tons of opportunities to earn as a skilled player, passively as a liquidity provider, powering reboot market. You use GG to power up your abilities or infuse skills that are tradable. PS Reboot has its own fiat on ramp to buy GG with its own wallet powered on Arbitrum. It's the real deal. But so there's no TGE event. You're saying that they're just going to do allocation through ownership of NFT, and that's where the liquidity comes from. Like, I don't. I'm just curious. Like, don't be wrong. I hear what you're saying. I see that there's like utility here on this front. I'm more curious on understanding, is there a way for external people to be a part of GG? If so, how so? Would be the more interesting question here, Freeman. But love to hear kind of there's some internal stuff here as well. So again, lots of good insights. We want to kind of keep learning this. We want to kind of keep staying on this. But this is the challenge now, right? Is this market continues, right, to tell you that, hey, tokens are going to work, tokens are going to work, tokens are going to work. And then one day you're going to wake up and realize, fuck, tokens never worked. I can't believe I got caught. Right? This is what is the inevitable reality market to a certain extent. This doesn't mean that you don't participate. It means that you have a blended balance of portfolio of entry and exit here. Do not be caught holding the local top of all these fucking projects. That is absolutely going to happen to a couple of you. Fucking take profit. Holy shit. Like, if there's anything I can tell you right now, like, take some profit off if you have any major bags. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you still believe in, like, I want to bet on the long term on a lot of these projects, great. Keep 80% in if you want and take liquidity on 20%. If you're smart, you should probably be taking liquidity on the way up, like 40 to 50%, and then letting the remaining 40 to 50% ride, right? That's what I've seen a lot of competitive builders are doing. JRG says, Saint, I can put together something that MPH is doing for their token. Yes, send it to us. Send us all the fucking sources. We will break that shit down and we'll let people know. I actually really like the My Pet Hooligan team. They're missing the hype stuff, but I kind of like that because you could add that hype stuff later, but they've been constantly building for a very long time, which has been really cool. So again, as we think through this market, right, we step back and realize everything is nuts, right? Like, everything is nuts at the moment right now. And because of that, the biggest challenge is now going to be, where do I put my attention and where do I want to kind of tap into here, right? And you're going to get a lot of fresh mints that are going to try running token really quickly. You're going to get a lot of old mints that are now going to add token to their plays, right? Like old mints like Pixel Vault, Creeps, Overworld, Portal Coin. You're going to see, old previous projects. I mean, rumors for Infinigods, rumors for a lot of these other guys. There's going to be winners in each of those categories, right? But the biggest thing is, don't get fucking caught. Okay, that's the most important thing. Freeman says CEX Central Exchange listing plan. The TGE basis is nearly half distributed to the community holders of Planets, Pal, Punks assets with game theory. The other half is team launch partners. Yeah. I mean, no, I understand this, but weird. So they're going to do distribution of token first through gameplay. So then, Freeman, the only question I have for you here, this is the only question I have for you here, is can you tell me if the tokens you earn by playing the game prior to TGE are tradable? Or are you just accumulating? That's what I want to understand. How does this sequence here come in? I'm very interested. Holy cow, yeah, I see Soul Society sold a Bitcoin frog for 0.88 BTC. Yeah, man, I do not understand Bitcoin frogs. I love it though. I am glad you guys are making money. This is it's the 10K project that now has the highest market cap in the entire world, right? Which is nuts, right? Like, this is kind of insane, right? So highest market cap on ordinals at the moment right now, which is kind of insane. It's literally Bitcoin frogs, which shout out to them. They are doing something right. I don't know what it is, but they're doing whatever they're doing. Soul, they're doing it right, which is pretty amazing. So this is kind of now like the other important thing is that everyone's gonna have a token, everyone's gonna have a bag, everyone's gonna shill. What we're gonna do at Tribe, and this is a little bit of alpha here as well for you guys, is that we're gonna try finding as many of these token plays and start securing pre-sale spots for you guys. Right? I don't know if they're going to be valuable. I don't know if they're going to be profitable. I don't know what are the projects, but we're like, fuck it. Let's go find ways and the entity to allow you guys to participate in token sales as much as we can, right? Because this market is going to go. And I share this with you because usually almost anyone who is going to hype this shit up would have told you this stuff in reverse. Or honestly, they would have just told you this last part. We're getting you tokens, baby. Old tokens are going to the roof. They're gonna be all. We're all gonna be right. No, fuck all that shit. What I want to start with is, guys, this token shit's gonna die. It's gonna die. We're all gonna lose money at one point. Protect your shit. Oh, but you know what? We'll help you at least find some of those winning opportunities here, wherever those go. Right, and that's it. That's how I want you guys to realize is that whenever we give you opportunity here, right? We're not here to overtly shill you, right? We're not here to tell you this is the only way it's going to work, right? What we really want to do, what we really want to scale here is that we want to figure out ways to give you more optionality, but also kind of scare you about the optionality, right? Scare you that there are real risks when you're playing these games. There are real opportunities, but there are also real downsides for all of these games. So just make sure you know where your entering is, right? Like I think this is kind of the important thing here. And this is the other challenge, right? Is that everyone is going to be recognizing quite a bit of short-term pump stuff. And this is the thing that you want to understand about Tribe, right? And this is what you want to understand about all the entities we're building. Um, we know what the short term games are, but we don't want to build for short term games. And what I mean by that is we're not launching any of our core products to win short term cycles. That's not our focus, right? What our focus is that we want to build and leverage products that lead to our long term vision. And I would argue Tribe is one of the few that at least has had a long term star of driving value to community. And honestly, if you're someone who's been getting in, the top 1, top 2, top 3 cubes in our community, you're doing generally really well in our community. There is a lot of access here. There's been tons of ETH that has flown back from this community to the top, to the active users. Honestly, if you're a top 3,000 user in this community, you have probably found profit on at least one, if not multiple plays, or you're stacking a shit ton of relics. Like, and we don't even talk about these numbers, right? Because these numbers don't matter to us in the what matters to us is the trust that we're building, right? And it's doing it in a non extractive way, right? And this is kind of the interesting thing, right? Is that exactly, JRG says, like, we haven't fully released any NFT project, but have given back to the community more than any other project out there. This is what we want to do. This is what we stand for. We still have plans for our launches, but we're not in an accelerating point to be like, launch for the sake of launching. That's not it. What we're trying to be is we're trying to be honestly a community where knowledge matters, where education matters, where insights matters. We still have a dash of alpha, we still have a dash of access. I mean, we've been pretty good on all of our allocations here as well. And that's going to be the big thing as we kind of move forward. So you're going to see a lot more opportunity come from that. So guys, as we kind of wrap up here, token season's upon us, but token season may wreck you as well. Find the right plays, understand who's moving faster to the TGE event, and understand those that have quality TGE leverage, i.e., listing partners. The little quick insight is that they have Binance as a listing partner. Go fucking buy those NFTs. That's probably one of the easiest things to kind of right now correlate here in this market. The Binance advantage of listing is probably a 5 to 10x multiple on the FDV alone. Just on that alone, right? That's how important it is to get that through. So this is going to be an important thing, but realize the rest of this market's going to come really quickly and it is going to wreck us all, right? It really is. Yeah, Bruto says it right. Token season is going to wreck most of you, but some will make big bags. May the odds be ever in your favor. I agree. We're going to work here. We're going to tap into that. We're going to share a lot more on that as well. Hopefully, you'll all be able to get a part. If you've been participating here about 15, 20 minutes ago, I gave out an auto relic. For those of you who are during that time, that auto relic has now been added into your project here as well. Guys, we're going to let you guys go tomorrow. Well, actually, later today, we have gamified, I realized. Actually, I might skip gamified. So tomorrow, we're going to do Ronin. And then on Friday, guys, we're going to do some fun raffles from our vault. We're going to start literally giving you guys the ability for auction and raffle for real NFTs with real value. We'll probably give out around 10 to 20 ETH worth of assets over this kind of Christmas holiday break. And hopefully it'll allow you guys to get the stuff you want. And yeah, there'll be some sexy Waltz vaults, some Momoguru, some dope Frankies. Come on, Frankie's coming back. Let's all believe in that, guys. All right, everyone. We're going to let you all go. We'll chat soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye now.